Brisbane was tranquil. I'd wake at 7 a.m. and stroll into the office by 8 a.m. Never any hurry. My workplace was just down the road. Some days, I'd pop home for lunch, then head back to finish the afternoon. Born and bred there, even when I studied down in Melbourne, I always found myself returning to Brisbane. 2 things pushed me to leave. First, the pay was rubbish. So poor I couldn't put anything aside. With my qualifications, I reckoned I was worth more. Second, I craved something different. It had always been Brisbane. The same skyline, the same people, the same spots day after day. I needed something new. So I landed a position in Sydney. First time my feet touched Sydney ground, I thought, this is going to be rough. Everything moved at breakneck speed. I felt like I was standing still. Had to learn a new pace. Had to learn to move quicker. Had to learn to fight for things that came easily back in Brisbane. But I'm resilient. Resilient people are built for this, so I decided to make it work regardless. It took me 8 weeks to find my own place. I stayed with a mate whose partner showed up every evening. When he was there, I had to make myself scarce and watch the traffic until he left. Sometimes I'd be outside with my belongings until 11 p.m. It was brutal. Money was tight, but I connected with a real estate agent who reckoned he could find me something near my work. One Saturday he rang. "Emma, there's a place we should check out. I reckon you'll love it. Ticks all the boxes we've discussed." We arrived at the property and met a bloke who introduced himself as the owner. I studied him, so young and energetic. I wondered, what's he do to afford such a massive place at his age? No answer. Mental questions stay unanswered since nobody can hear them. He explained, "This room wasn't meant for letting, because it's near our living space. But then I figured having someone else around might liven things up. My wife's always out working." We discussed the rent and I agreed. He asked about my job and I explained. I took his mobile number to call when I was ready to move. When I returned to pay, I met him with his wife. She looked at me and asked her husband, "Who's this? What's she after?" The husband replied, "Oh, didn't mention it. This is Emma. She's taken the room beside our flat." The wife appeared stunned. She started, "I thought we decided..." The husband interrupted. "Yes, but thinking about it, having someone else around makes sense." Right then I sensed trouble ahead. A bloke who doesn't discuss a new tenant with his wife? What kind of person does that? Another mental question. Another without an answer. I paid up and left. The day I brought my belongings, only the wife was home. I felt awkward remembering her reaction. I worried she'd make life difficult since she hadn't wanted anyone there. How wrong I was. The moment I arrived, she came to help me unpack. She worked alongside me all day, making sure everything was properly sorted. She said, "We're the only ones in this section. My husband's overseas where he's from. I'm glad you're a woman. We can look out for each other. We can be mates. Whatever you need, just ask and I'll help. Don't struggle by yourself. Speak up." My anxious mind finally settled from all the worries I'd been carrying. After work in the evenings, we'd sit on the veranda watching the main street, chatting about whatever came to mind. We'd comment on people walking past, women in their outfits, blokes in their swagger. We'd talk and laugh each evening until one day she went to work and didn't return that night. It was Friday. I rang her mobile asking if she'd be home soon, and she said, "Not coming back tonight. Some Fridays I visit my parents. See you Monday." "You alright on your own?" I replied, "Yeah, bit quiet, but I'll cope." This became the pattern. I knew Fridays meant she'd be away. I knew I'd see her Sunday or Monday depending on her plans. Then one late night, I got an international call. Crikey. Who's ringing from overseas? They bringing me cash? I answered. It was the owner. Unsure why he was calling, I spoke carefully. He chatted about nothing specific, just asking how the place had been since I'd moved in. Then he'd steer towards his wife. "How's she treating you? Hope you two aren't having dramas. Have you seen her tonight? She back from work?" I almost said, "Friday she visits her mum. Doesn't return till weekend's end." But something stopped me and gave me better words. He should know his wife's whereabouts. Not my place to tell him. The small voice in my mind whispered. He'd ring randomly, asked me not to mention his calls to his wife. Everything pointed somewhere. I suspected he wanted me watching his wife, but couldn't say it directly. He'd call, ask about the living situation, my job, how I was finding Sydney, then circle back to his wife, always asking if she'd come home after work. One night he rang. I asked straight out, "Look, is there something you need from me? Some favor you want? Just say it and I'll help if I can." He said, "My wife. This is my biggest secret I'm sharing. I know you're sensible and you'll understand my situation. I've been overseas 9 years, working hard to give her a good life. That place you're in? Built it myself. Started before we even married, but whose name's on the deed? Hers. The car she drives, it's her 3rd in 6 years. I replace it whenever she wants. I visit once yearly. Tell me, am I failing as a husband? If your partner did these things, would you think him inadequate? What would make you betray someone like me?" I realized I was caught in a developing crisis, so my pulse quickened. I was careful with my words. I just listened. Where sympathy was needed, I gave it without confirming anything. He continued, "I know she's being unfaithful. 3 blokes, I suspect. Mates have dropped hints, but nothing concrete. You're closest to monitor her movements. Sorry to drag you in, but extreme situations need extreme responses. Can you tell me when she's home and when she's not? Who visits? Can you do this? Say yes and I'll return your rent. You'll never pay again. That's how serious this is." I exhaled deeply. If Sydney doesn't destroy you directly, it delivers problems that eventually will. I'd escaped a mate who made me wait outside while she was busy with her boyfriend. Now look where I'd ended up. Right in the middle of chaos. I said, "I've been here some time. She's always home after work. I don't really monitor her, but whenever I've needed her, she's been there." He replied, "I'm giving you a task. Big reward attached. Bring me proof and get your rent back. We'll speak soon." Since then, I viewed her differently. The clothes she wears when she says she's visiting family, her appearance when she returns, her arrival time some days, our conversations. Everything suggests her husband's suspicions are valid, but I won't be the messenger, I decided. I'm just a tenant, came for shelter, not to investigate. So I've avoided both of them completely, until recently, I encountered her and another man coming down from her flat. It was about 4:30 Sunday morning. Planning to attend early service, I'd risen to do washing before church. I opened my door, and there they were. The bloke looked away. She smiled awkwardly. She said, "Off somewhere this early? Must be why you're washing now." I just nodded, mouth full of saliva. All day she hovered, trying to explain who he was and his presence. I was inside when he knocked, suggesting we go for a morning run. Too tired, I said not today. Did his knocking wake you? Hope it didn't disturb you. I just smiled and said no. Who goes running in dress shoes and a buttoned shirt? Her husband keeps ringing, especially weekends. Keeps asking if I'm observing her, if I'm doing what he asked. Keeps reminding me about living rent-free if I provide one solid lead. Rent-free, rent-free, rent-free. That's all I've been thinking lately. $650 monthly is on the line. One bit of gossip and I live here free until I leave. Sydney's tough, right? Not saying I'll tell him anything, but honestly it's tempting. So when I sleep, I pray for her. Pray she'll have a change of heart and stop her affairs. She doesn't realize it, but her behavior is slowly pulling me towards temptation.